Welcome back to Knight's Tavern. We have a good week for you guys with the new units. I mean, the new summer units. We got Zero here, along with Panda, and then I'm your host, Awesome.
Hello.
I'm back.
Yeah, as you can see, we got a new addition. You can actually see who's talking. So even when someone rambles, you can know who it is.
You can fight me now.
It's probably me. Anyways, for starters, we've got our two new units. We got Kaito and Tsukiko, and then we got the new banner. The new units introduce a kind of new meta or a variation of a meta that's kind of interesting. So let's get started.
All I have to say also is death by Susu.
Oh gosh, Panda. All right.
Anyways, welcome everybody to the end of summer.
With spooky vision. I wish we had Barbara Streisand pictures right now.
So, just to give some context, these are units that are heavily based on Japanese folklore, upon spirits, and the name of the event week is also based.
Um,
But yeah, Kaito is a skilled swordsman to sacrifice his life for mankind. So that's where he comes from. Uh, he is a physical damage unit. Um, he's one of the weird units because he has true double hand in his kit, but is also very good at dual wield.
Yeah.
His
And
TMR
you'll see
is
why later.
yeah, we'll see why later. His TMR is Shoryuken.
sure you can.
That's what it looks like to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
When
the same. It's the
It's
same.
okay. Um,
I
No,
said sure you can.
the spelling and the way it's translated is different, but it means this.
okay. Anyways, it's a two-handed katana, 140 attack with the element of water and some nice variants.
Also, Sonic Boom.
That's Guile.
I know.
Anyways, his STMR, which in my opinion is bonkers, is 50% attack, 30% evasion, another 20% attack when wielding a katana, and water and wind resistance 25%. I want.
It's a very,
Just a
very
whale,
good,
bro. Just a
very,
whale.
very good build, and I have seen this in action. I've seen somebody solo beast. It's a single Elena because of
Yeah, it's fancy.
yes, the Scorn Beast of the Dark. They used one Elena with full evasion and enough resistance, and they just soloed it.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Weird flex, but okay.
So he's got kind of a really awesome equipment list because A, he has knives, which are very good for getting two-handed if you decide to go that route, so you don't have to waste a slot. Swords, same. They're also very good at getting elements. Katana's pretty decent at getting elements, and that's his main thing. And then bows, which I kind of like because lots of bows have killers, so I like his equipment list. His armors, basically, you can't wear helmets or heavy armors. Not really any major complaints there. Um, and I mean, how would you kind of give a brief overview of his kit, Zero?
Okay,
He
so
does a damage.
yeah, so as explained, he is a true uh, double hand unit. However, his kit kind of does not seem to require it. And as we get into it, he has a plethora of skills, all of which have different icons, but the ones that are similar are very, very important to keep them grouped together
So,
because they
Heard the
have,
cow.
yeah, he has regular chaining skills along with damage over, right? And the damage over time in his kit basically is for 3 turns. does an attack, and at the end of the enemy's turn, where you counter, the enemy will receive that damage over time effect, right? So just before the next turn, the damage over time is, or the dot is gonna, right?
You can kind of think of it as a poison that's based off of your physical damage
Or bleed.
or bleed. Yeah.
You know, if you're a, an RPG gamer,
know.
you're familiar with those.
So if you look here, we have low tide, boar tide, diurnal tide,
Wait.
high tide, rip tide. Those are the ones he was talking about that have the similar look. Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
that's
But
not that's not the
here's
right one,
my
is it?
question though.
Yeah, it is the right one. What's that?
Low tide? Come on, are we gonna get ourselves decreased LB fill? Come on. Anyone?
That hurts my brain, Panda.
Low tide, high tide.
I know, I
Come
get
on.
it. It's just not good.
Come on. You
Anyways,
gotta give me that one.
um, the only other abilities that do not fit those specific icons is you've got the unpredictable whirlwind, or whirlpool, sorry,
Is
and
cooldowns.
and you also have Neep Tide, which has a different icon, but still says Tide. That one also gives a 10 times modifier for 3 turns.
Yep.
And
Now the
actually,
thing is, in most cases, you're gonna use all of them together, as much of them as you can together. And the reason why is because his dots, uh, his dots stack on top of each. So the more you put on the enemy, the more they're gonna accumulate. But the dots have different attributes compared to regular damage, and we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. But let's just, in terms of giving an overview of what this unit is about, his chaining damage is really, really
Pathetic.
pitiful. Yeah, it's the modifiers on it are just extremely low, 2 times modifier in most cases.
even
I
his
think
finishing abilities, like the High Tide and Riptide, do have a physical attack that comes with it. They do almost no damage. It's 1 times modifier.
right. But here's the thing: a lot of his, even his chaining abilities, they have a support skill that are attached to some of them that are actually going to be useful. So even if you're just going to be supporting another trainer, he is going to be very, very team because he can also, whilst he is putting on his dots, he can also heals. He can also put some MP back for the team. He can also, basically have a couple of breaks in there. He has like different utilities along with what he does. All right, put on killers for himself.
Dude, he's
Right.
like Billy Mays. But
Billy
wait,
Mays here.
there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Um, but yeah, for example, Boar Tide and Diurnal Tide, those are the HP and MP region. They are fixed, so it doesn't matter how much attack or spirit or anything like that. It's either going to be 1,000 HP or 50 MP. Might not sound like a lot, but it's extremely useful. It includes him.
Especially if you triple cast it.
You cannot
Quad.
triple cast it.
What do you mean you can't?
You have to select a different ability. It's similar to how the Valkyrie profile.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I could show it to you on screen if you want.
No, I'm just wondering because I think you can, but nobody wants to because you can't. You would want to stack different.
They
skills.
literally get unhighlighted for me when I do it. But anyways, go on. I'll ring it up real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So just go on to the next one.
All right. So outside of that, he's gonna have the ability to imbue himself with water. He has innate triple casting, which is really nice, and he gets that at level and a 6-star at level 46. So you can use a triple cast, very, very commonplace, right? What he's going to get by using his TMR, he gets more true double hand, he gets more 50% attack, and he also gets a 30% evasion. So definitely, if you're gonna use his own sword, two-hand sword, having that 30% evasion really nice. But you if you don't want that element, the water, then you're gonna have to get his STMR, right? Which is pretty baller. Basically, it would give him instantly 60%.
Evasion.
Yep, just by having his own STMR, he would have 60%.
Then after that, just give him some of those good old Rico TMRs.
Yeah.
I have one.
I have two. And
All
mine
right.
are
So I've pulled this up. Let's make it a little bigger since. So if you go to the flowing edge, which is triple cast, we scroll down, Riptide. What the heck? Why wouldn't it let me do that before? Whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Yep, you're right. For some reason it was clearing out. Maybe it was a bug I was reaching, because it was clearing out before. It was unhighlighting when I was doing it.
Oh,
Similar to how the cooldown unhighlights, but I was getting that before, so maybe it was a bug or I was doing it wrong. Whee!
So
in the Grandshelt
more
next channel, we could prove Awesome wrong.
More on his cooldowns are extremely important because they unlock torrential showdown. Quadcasting with those dots is something that you definitely want to do.
Oh,
combination.
that's what I was saying. Okay, I get it now.
Oh.
That's what I was saying before. If you look right there, unique selection only. So I bet I was thinking of the quad cast, not the triple cast, for doing these things. So if I since I unlocked quad cast.
One thing I do have a question about his dots. How would it work in arena?
The 999 damage if it does do damage.
Aww.
So look.
Yeah, it would only do.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the quad cast. If you look, High Tide, Riptide, and Boartide all go invisible after the fact. So that's what I was thinking, not the triple cast.
Okay, so honestly, to answer Panda's question, in arena he would be really great if it was AOE damage, AOE dots, but they're not.
I could have sworn he had an AOE.
He does have an AOE dot.
It's cooldown.
No, he's got Neptide, I believe. Yep, Neptide.
Oh, he does have also High Tide. High Tide is all enemy.
Yep. So,
okay, so
High Tide,
it's limiting
and
you in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the AOE.
Yeah, he might be actually pretty good in arena.
How to piss off more people.
But the suits on me, okay. I was thinking this one for a second.
It's not gonna piss off anybody because it's not gonna counter. If he used counter dots, it would be.
That would be disgusting. Be worse than Lilla. But yes. Technically, if he has high enough damage, you could get 2,000 off of everything because it'd be. He would do for example, this one right here, the 1x modifier. If you get 999 on that one, you can also get 999 on this one every turn. Stack
now,
those.
Now, his dot,
beasts.
One thing I forgot to mention, his dot ability, or his modifiers on those are very strong. Most of them have 10 to 15 times modifiers, with the exception of his cooldown and his LB.
Yeah, his cooldown's pretty ridiculous. It's 40 times modifier over 3 turns, or 10 times to a random enemy 4 times in a row.
Yeah. You have one enemy, then that basically comes up to 40 as well.
His LB has a 50 times per turn modifier.
So if you wait 4 turns, if you're ever on the 4th turn, you can apply 2 cooldowns and he would have 80 times modifier from those 2 cooldowns. And you have something else on, like his regular modifiers and his LB all at the same time, you can understand why he can do enough damage as 2 well, the gauge that people use is basically two axe stars chaining together by himself. He can do
With the
that amount of
power of
damage.
flex tape, we
What's
saw
that?
this with the power of flex tape, bro.
We sawed this boat in
Yeah.
half is what he was going for.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty much how it would go.
So, I mean, his LB also does an incredible amount of stuff. It comes with a break in defense and spirit. If you haven't broken it, it's really good to have it there. The fact that it's also 5 turns, it's available for, it's a dot for 3 turns. It does 100% water resistance, imperil,
Imperil.
yeah, imperil, 100% imperil, water imperil, along with a water physical damage, and
A
also 50 time dot for 3 turns.
Yeah, that 16 times modifier is really good though too.
And for 27 LB crystals, really, really cheap to do such huge amount of damage.
It's bananas.
Yep. I mean, even if you're not carrying a water weapon, he has this water skill. So
Yeah, he has a skill to imbue himself.
Yep, and that's the only BS chain he has in the entire thing.
Woohoo!
Other
That's
than that,
a
he is an
thing.
AZ chainer, absolute zero.
or a Stardust.
Oh yeah, Stardust too. I forgot about Stardust. I always forget about Stardust, Ray.
His
Yep.
AZ are basically ones that are going to give killers. You're not really going to use those unless you're going to put on killers.
Well,
So
no, his Sea Sweepers also.
What?
His Sea Sweepers also AZ, but
Oh yeah. But yeah,
it's weak
so
as hell. So
those are his chaining, basically.
Now shall we explain damage over time?
Okay, so
oh wow,
yeah,
that's hard to
damage
read.
over time. Yeah, damage over time has some unique properties in the game that are, if you're not like thinking about it, if you think about it logically, it basically should be, just applied. It's physical damage because he's a physical damage, right? So certain things are going to take into consideration. If the opponent has physical mitigation, it's going to work against them. However, also because of the physical attacker, he can take imbues, imperiled, everything else that's usually associated with physical damage is going to be taken into account, right? So it's going to do damage the way a physical damage dealer would. Things that it's unique to dot damage is that it will not chain currently, right? It does not chain. So when it actually does hit, it floods in, you get a whole bunch of hits, but it doesn't chain with it, right? The next thing is that damage um, happens after your unit's counter. That's when the dots roll in, right? So the enemy will attack, then you will counter, then the dots will roll in, right? Also, the dots cannot be evaded. So if the opponents have any evasion on, doesn't matter, right?
Not in this house.
You can evade the initial hit, but not the dot. It'll always be applied so far.
Yeah, exactly.
Not,
So yeah,
not
just
in
like
this house.
yeah, weapon variance is not taken into account for the dot. So him being a true double hand user is only going to apply from the initial chains or that he's doing or the initial hits, and not for the dot. Right. So building him as a true dual wielder can be an option if you
Can
any
make a higher attack.
yeah any way that you can raise his damage more by either double handing him, true double handing him, or dual wielding him, anyone that you can make him higher on, you're welcome to do. Anything that makes him gets the most damage that you. I apologize for dogs barking.
The only thing I would have to say is currently right now I think the equipment is still easier to build him true double hand, mainly because the fact that the true dual wield um, gear is typically STMRs except for Lightning's TMR. Or it's really weak like Lastwell's TMR, which is 15%.
No, yeah, the true
Uh,
dual wield.
yeah, the true dual wield is still kind of harder to build, is all I'm saying. Because I mean, other than Lightning's TMR, which is fantastic to use, it's STMRs you're kind of focused on, like Malphase's STMR or
Uh,
Nagi's STMR.
tip.
Yep.
Wait for
And
buttons.
to be on the safe side for newer user, if you want an element, you can build them double hand with an element. You know, you don't have to go.
Yep.
Just also, if you're waiting to have more true dual wield stuff to come up that aren't SDMRs, um, CG Parts does have an accessory for true dual wield. Oh, I forgot how much it has, but
I think it's
I
like
think it's 50.
50 attack with dual wield, I believe.
Let me double check.
Okay, so
CG
while you
Parts.
do that, I'm gonna say some other stuff that's gonna be taken into account.
Mhm.
Dots do not generate any orbs at all. No LB orbs, no Esper orbs, evocation. So you don't, if take into consideration if you're going to kill an enemy, you're trying to raise your Esper up or raise your LBs, that's not a way to do it. Because he's not going to be able to do that. He's going to do a lot of damage and not give you LBs with his dots, right?
Quick button, real quick.
Yep.
CG Bart's TMR is 40 attack with LB gauge of 2 per turn and 50% true dual wield.
Yes,
Yep.
that will make
Pretty
it
good.
much easier to
Yep.
build.
It's very nice.
Yeah, but like I was saying, it's not that True Dual is bad. It's just I think True Dual is more difficult to build than True Double Hand currently.
It's
And
currently in baby steps.
yeah, and Double Hand is still completely viable with this guy since you're basically not reliant on his variants. So,
Yep.
and a
Since
side note
his
is
regular damage poo poo anyway.
he still gets 100. Technically, he gets 100 dual wield or double hand because the 50 comes from his TMR. So 100 double hand means you need to get 200 more double hand to cap him.
Yep. So everything else works normally on him in terms of mod boosts, LB boosts, because you can use LB boost gear and make his 50 times modifier go up even higher on those dots, right? So if you have a 50% increase on his LB, that 50 turns into a 75%. Sorry, 75 times modifier.
Which is
That
bananas.
that's bonkers. Right? Added to his imperil and added to the water damage that he's doing is gonna, and added to the break he's doing as well. My God.
I will also say this: if if you actually, one downside to these dots is trying to get the missions done. That's say like.
Oh yeah, yeah. We haven't gotten there yet, but yeah, that we're the the dots do have a big disadvantage as well. Then in that not only missions that you can also like you if you have like Esper missions or LB missions, you will basically you might not be able to get those, right? You'd have to time these because they're 3 turns. All of them are 3 turns. You have to be able to hold back before you have to stop using his dot damage skills and use his regular skills for those turns. You have to be able to know when to stop. Um, Otherwise, he will kill your opponent and you will not get the mission. Other things you have to be careful of: surpassing thresholds with this guy, right? Because you can go over thresholds and the enemy will retaliate. Um, unlike counters where you can go over a threshold with a counter and you don't get the retaliate. He will retaliate dots. And also, what's the other thing? There's another one outside of the enemies killing you. I think it was something else. I can't remember.
What was it?
It was three things I remember. It was going over thresholds, not getting the missions, and another thing.
There are hard locks.
Hard lock.
Hard locks from a boss. It will not go past it.
Will dispel be removed? Will dispel remove it?
Oh, so what has been said on it? Dots can be flagged as dispellable or undispellable. Currently, all dots from units are dispellable while enemies are undispellable. If it's dispellable, then remove all status effects or remove all debuffs will work. So dispelling itself may not work, but a skill that says remove all status effects or debuffs will work. Currently. Alright. One thing to note, stacking requires a unique stacking ID. What that means is that you can't use the same stacking skill with a dupe, right? If you have
Kaitos.
two of Kaitos and you both do Riptide, it's only going to take one into, right?
Sadly.
But however, each Kaito can triple cast a different tides, and they'll all stack.
And then
So
after
having a
you're
dupe,
done getting it all stacked, you can chain.
yes. So you can actually work with a dupe in this case. They will just have to make sure and use different skills while the other one use different skills at the same time. So as much as people say, oh, he's best to work with somebody else, he can work with himself and do a buttload of damage.
The only
Right.
downfall
Damage.
to dots is the fact that you can't cap it or anything like that. You can't use it to cap anything
Yeah,
because it'll happen before you can attack.
Mm-hmm. Well, it happens at the end of the
End of the enemy's
before you
attack. Yeah, before you attack.
All right, so that's Kaito basically in
Nutshell.
the easiest nutshell we
It's hard to explain without like literally playing with it because you kind of just have to experience Kaito.
If you
Yeah.
want to see how it is, we would highly recommend watching Clay's newest video on it. He
Or,
goes more in depth and
or to just gauge. Meet Me on Mars currently has a video
Tour of
out on his
Destruction.
tour of destruction, or where he accidentally killed. Sorry, not accidentally, but basically killed Gilgamesh while most of the team was already dead. Like, so that his dots still
just did all the
were
work.
in effect. Yeah,
I think Myra was
Even-
hiding on the video.
It was.
yeah. So even while your team is gone, he could still kill the enemy. That's a possibility now with dots.
Abuse.
That means hide is awesome.
Yes. However, one thing to note about hide with dot damage is that it's unclear right now, but basically dots cannot kill the enemy when the caster is out of bound. Like if they're hiding or they jumped. I'm not sure. It's not tested yet, but basically the idea is that it's going to leave you at 1 HP. The enemy with 1 HP. Alright? So I'm not sure.
Until the caster's out to do the final one hit.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on to the Foxy Lady, Tsukiko.
Suzu. Death by Suzu.
You want to read the description of Suzuko, Panda?
Which description? Oh, yes. Yes.
Let's see how good your Japanese is.
A kitsune
Come
spirit
on.
from a distant world, Tsukiko wandered the world in the past, taking innocent lives in order to retain her youthful human form. However, her beauty appearance did not little to console her when her hometown was struck by a great tragedy that took the lives of her loved ones. Rated R. Stoic.
Okay,
Such.
so
Kaito.
one thing I did not know is that Tsukiko is actually a badass. She's not like as innocent as she looks. She's
Makes
actually
her
a,
a better waifu.
Well, she's technically a yokai.
well, yeah, but they're
Really?
basically saying taking innocent lives in order
Yeah.
to retain her youthful.
Yeah.
Right.
Real
So
waifu hours here, bro.
Yeah, I thought you knew that, but I mean,
I did not know she was taking innocent lives. Sorry. So
Anyways,
she is. Yeah.
yeah, very nice for the description.
anyways, she's a shrine maiden. At least that's what her job is. She has 3 families: Chaos Wave, Absolute Zero, and Bolding Strike, which is all pretty relevant.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I like Absolute Zero. Some people don't. But her TMR is extremely good. It's Priestess Attire. It's 100 HP, 60 Magic, 35 Spirit, and MP 10%. But the reason it's really good is Spirit Fire Foxclaw.
And it's not locked to her.
It's not
Hell
locked to
yeah.
her, so you can put this on someone if you need a side chainer, if you're doing absolute zero chaining.
Medius.
However, it's worth noting that on her she can double cast it or cast.
Yeah, because it is a Spirit Fire ability. Nobody else
Yes.
can dual cast this. But still, it's an 11 hit chain. That's not too awful to cap.
It's a chain, yeah.
Yeah, well, even to cap. And her STMR is, I mean, it's pretty good. It's not, in my opinion, not fantastic, but it's pretty good. Its stats are 30 attack, 170 magic, and 50% true dual wield. Or just dual wield, I guess. Doesn't really matter with mages.
Single wielding any weapon.
Yeah, I think it's just dual wield.
Anyways, that Medius is gonna love that. Shout out to Flipster.
Okay, so one thing to note about this unit, even though she looks like a regular mage on the surface, with her skills basically quite a lot like I would say maybe um, like Grimlord Sakura in a sense, except her elements that her affinity, fire, light, and water, right? Um, there's 3 things that are extremely unique about her. The first thing is that she has magic skills, magic damage, but are fixed attack. This is very, very unique to any other unit because this means as a unit that does fixed attack means that it ignores any physical mitigation or magical. It will just go straight, right? The second thing is, but being fixed attacks also means that they won't be able to have any killers of any kind or any um, elements being imbued upon him, right? Um, the second thing that is extremely unique about her is she's one of the few units that has auto casting um, chaining ability. Auto casting is done at the beginning of every turn before everybody attacks, which is sort of the opposite of Kaito's dot dash, right? And her auto casting is on her cooldown and her LB, and it basically builds up over time, right? We'll get more into the auto casting mechanics. And the third unique thing about her is that she has something, well, that is called currently, it's called Penta Gut. She is the only unit to have a threshold. Sorry, not a threshold, a soft lock or a hard lock, where if she basically takes a fatal hit, it'll lock her at 50% health. She takes another hit, she can lock at 1%. Then she gets another hit and then she'll die. If you have a revive, she'll do it again. So she does not go down.
It's guts, but not at one HP.
Yeah, no, she has it twice in her kit. If you look at her
Yeah,
90 skill,
I was explaining it.
yeah. So she could die. She could like that's why it's called a pentagut skill because she can get hit 5 times before she dies. 5
That's
fatal
amazing.
hits. Yeah, that's extreme survivability, better than any tank,
Demon
right?
Rain cries in a corner.
So that's her unique ability. So you want to cover anything else that she has in her kit now, like in terms of skills?
She has a broom.
Awesome.
Sorry, what was that? Had to yell
Okay.
at kid for a second there.
Yeah, so I just went over what's unique about her, but we haven't like discussed what her actual um, skills is. I just said what's unique about her, right? She
Okay.
does fixed
Has
attacks
a
with
broom.
magic damage. She has pentaguts and she has auto cam, right?
He currently had to step out, but well, looking more at it, her Foxfire, like the Might, Desire, and Mandela, these different kind of spirit fires. It's like, uh, it's like Rivera, how you use X ability and it changes into this, but it's just a upgrade when you use it again. So you use Foxfire, the Fox's Might, it changes into Fox Might Plus, which makes it into from a 60% attack break to a 75% attack break,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
pretty nice actually, because you can also use this as a finishing move, I believe, but it's also fixed. So, rip.
Yeah. So the one thing to note about these moves, these skills, is that she is kind of she is locked to her elements, except the skill that she gets from her EMR. So she's gonna need. That's the way she basically uses her non-elemental skill. It's from her TMR, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything else is locked to its own element, right? And the modifier on her magic damage is actually really strong. Even on the TMR, all of them are 11 times modifier. Pretty strong for a regular magic. So having it on any mage is also extremely good. Even a weak mage, even a mage that usually has weak skills, even if their magic is really strong, they can take advantage of that TMR and use it.
Also, I just looked at it again. It's pretty much like Rivera. Use the cooldown, then changes set ability to be upgraded.
I'm telling you guys right now, I'm gonna be using like units like Marie.
You monster.
Marie. All right,
No,
so
of course.
did you guys go over the fact that she has 3 abilities that give massive resistance debuffs? Like, for example, the
Yes.
Purging Pyre gives 100 fire resistance down. Um, Fervent Prayer gives 100 light resistance down, and then Purifying Water gives 100
Yeah.
water resistance. And it's
So yeah,
on command too.
yeah. So she has her 7-star skills. They do breaks at the same time. However, it's worth noting that you're gonna most likely, if you're gonna use these skills, you're gonna use it against an enemy who's weak, right? However, you can take advantage of the breaks if you're doing that, unless they're weak to all three, right? Where you can literally triple cast all of them and get a full break at the time.
But
A
yeah,
full 65% break.
if you were going to
Spirit
match it,
attack match.
what you'd probably end up doing though is you'd probably end up casting like Purifying Water and then finishing with Fox Torrent because of the modifier change.
Yes, the modifier on the imperiled are weaker than the actual um Spirit Fire, the Fox skill, I guess you could
Yeah.
call it Spirit Fire Fox. The purifying, I don't even know what to call those. The imperiled skills you would use, and then you would use the chaining. Stronger.
Yep.
But yeah, those are locked to their chaining families though, just like that is. So if I mean, who would she work best with?
Herself.
There's a couple of absolute zero people who have light, I believe.
Yep.
Cersei.
There is Cersei.
Cersei.
Cersei
No,
does
that's
light.
disorder.
No,
Oh no,
that's
That's
no, no,
disorder.
no,
disorder,
that's disorder.
Um,
right?
what was the Morgana? Morgana has light.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
absolute zero. I was complaining
Right.
about that last time. Um, there's
There are
Hallelujah.
lots of fire
there's a
chaos
couple
waves.
people who use Chaos Wave and Fire, namely Sophia, Transterra, and
I think that's it. I don't think Ultima Seraph does, and Ellie
She
doesn't.
doesn't. No, Ellie doesn't.
oh, okay, never
So I think
mind.
it's those two.
So those are her chaining partners, and also Bolting Strike and Water is basically Kaito.
I don't know. I still think she works best with herself, mainly because of the fact that she has the auto casts.
Yeah. So why don't you explain how her and herself would use them?
Oh man, this is in my opinion, kind of complicated. But she
More
has
complicated than Morgana.
Morgana's easy compared to this chick. Um,
This is chill.
but anyways, yeah, a Joe joke. For example, she has, if I remember correctly, it's Ninetales, Spearfire, Ninetales, and then her LB. They both have what they do is they auto cast for, in this case, 10 turns. Oh wait, no, that's auto revive.
Yeah, it's very, very
1,
long.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 turns.
By the way, I love the name of her LB, Hokey Pokey.
Is it really
Hokey
Hokey Pokey?
Pokey.
I did not pay attention. It
Hokey
is.
Pokey.
I did not notice that. But anyways, they both um, basically every turn they will cast an ability at the beginning of the thing. So if you have two of her and you both cast Ninetales, for example, you will automatically chain a bolting strike.
Bolting. Now the thing is, one thing I've noticed, well, based on what people have said about it right now, it does not perfect chain. It auto casts the same way if you press the repeat button and you do a cast. It'll be somewhat like that. So it will chain, but it not necessarily would be perfect.
That's a bummer.
So
That's
you will still be able to drop a, like, let's say a dragoon in there if anything, but you won't be able to,
hit a perfect
you'll
cap.
still, yeah, yeah.
So, question: when those people said that, did they have their Tsukikos in the proper orientation? Like, for example, if you have a moving character, like you'd put
I
it
don't know.
4 and
I think it
6.
requires further testing,
Yeah. I
right?
assumed that it worked, but I was making the assumption. I just hadn't gotten a chance to play with
Yeah, what they
Tsukiko
said,
enough.
it has a variable delay, so it does not perfectly chain with a dupe all the time. Varies a little bit.
That's a bummer. But, I mean, it would be a little OP if you could do that, because then it would be an automatic chain every turn without her doing anything, which would drastically increase her damage.
Yes. So one thing of note about this auto casting is that she is going to chain up this. She will be locked while her auto casting is going on. However, other units can use their skills. Namely, a dragoon can be in the air, right? While she's auto casting, they can drop down
Mm-hmm.
By the
and do
way,
massive damage. And
this
this is before the turn starts. So she hasn't been able to use her other skill.
yeah, she can still cast abilities after her auto cast. So it's not
Yes.
like a bard. It's not where the bard's stuck singing. She does her auto cast, and then she's able to still do an ability or move afterwards. It's not locked to anything or anything like that. So that's another very useful thing about
She and Kaito are extremely extremely unique to this game, and also she also has the same issue as Kaito does, where you have to be very careful if you're going to use her auto casting skills
Well, it's
about
worse for
crossing
her.
thresholds.
It's worse for her because
What?
it's 10 turns.
Well, I mean, if you can predict where that's going to finish in a fight.
If it doesn't chain perfectly, and it doesn't, um, yeah, it's gonna be very difficult to calculate that out unless someone has like a huge, um, huge, what's it called, threshold. Like for example, like one to like 80%, or like going from 100% to 20%. Like you take out 80%. Use it at the very beginning. But other than that, it seems like it'd be kind of really rough to use this and pay attention to thresholds.
So if you think about a fight with her and Kaito, they will be doing damage before each turn and each turn,
And during each turn,
along with and along with whatever you're doing during.
And it's a lot of damage.
Yes, accumulating can be quite a lot.
Which
So.
can really screw you over.
Oh,
Um,
and just a note, I have tried this before. The autocasts do not stack. Remember, so you can't, if you use 9 tails and then use the LB, it'll just be the last one you've done.
yeah, okay. So either the cooldown or the LB, not both.
Not both. So they don't
Okay,
stack in that sense.
something else to note about her auto casting skills is that she unlocks Cunning as a Fox in one of them, which allows her to hide for a turn, right? She can do this at any point during the auto casting phase, I believe, or it's basically one use. So maybe she can use it even now. But one thing to note is that she just hides for a turn. If you use something else like Concealing Cloth that has like 1 to 3 turns or whatever, her auto casting pauses until
She's back.
So only Cunning Fox is the only ability that allows her to leave without stopping her autocast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's one turn.
It's only one turn now. I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
fine. Just to
Well,
make her evade
it's
some
good if you,
threshold is really good.
it's good if you accidentally cross a threshold with your your auto attack.
Which is, I think, the reason why it's there.
It's the oh fuck moment.
Well,
You know what I was thinking of just now? I was thinking of if you have two Gladios, right, and they're protecting her, and she evades and disappears. What are they protecting?
Where are they fighting for?
So, the other thing to notice about her Cunning as a Fox, it also cures attack, defense, magic, and spirit breaks, and all status ailments. Of course, that's not going to include stop and charm because she won't be able to move. I actually don't even know if she has resistance to stop and charm. But another,
She basically just goes away and heals everything off, most of the stuff off,
yeah,
and then
most
comes
of the
back,
stuff off and comes back.
refreshed.
Yeah, if you remind me, I'm just gonna reset.
Well, again, like I was saying, things like stop and charm. If she gets those, I can't remember if she has immunity. I don't think she does. She won't be able to do even cast the ability. Just like she won't be able to cast if she's stoned or paralyzed. So the only one she'll be able to get rid of is basically like poison, viral, silence. I can't think of any other ones that doesn't prevent her from using abilities. Anyways, um, another nifty thing I don't know if you guys talked about is if she gets hit by either magic
Yeah,
or
guts. We
physical.
talked about the guts.
Okay,
Yeah,
divine. Yeah, auto put up
or
resistances.
pentaguts.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm
These
talking
extreme.
about her divine retribution. It decreases fire, water, and
Oh
light
yeah, we
resistance
didn't
by
talk
60%
about
to
that.
all enemies and increases.
Yeah, we.
Okay. Like I said, I heard crying, so I had to go check up on the kid real quick. So I couldn't hear you guys over it.
Okay.
I've got
Um.
kids.
Blah blah blah.
Yes.
Ew.
So she can just denote that she can quad cast. She's gonna do a lot of damage. currently, I
That's what you-
believe that she is going to be somewhere in the level of higher, maybe than Cersei, around Cersei level damage, which is very.
Well, I think something really nice about her over Cersei is she has triple cast and 8,
Yeah.
while Cersei has
Well,
dual
with
cast.
her, with her
With her
TM.
TMR, yeah. Which I wouldn't understand why you wouldn't for TMR, but no, if you
Yeah.
don't have it, you don't have it, I guess. Another thing to notice is she starts out being able to AoE damage enemies. Cersei has to use her LB to get unlock those.
Yeah.
And lastly, she has the fixed damage, so I think she's gonna outdamage Cersei.
Yep. And she can also use bows, which means she can use Lunara's bow if you're so inclined. If you
Wouldn't be
wanna,
bad.
yeah.
But would that actually do anything with the fixed damage or anything like that? Because I don't think variance counts for her.
No, remember it's magic damage. Her bow is magic.
I know, but it also gives variance. I wasn't sure if this counted. Like Cersei's,
No, the variants don't matter.
that's
The
what I
variants
thought.
don't matter.
I was just making sure because Cersei's variance works on her LB. That's why I was mentioning it.
Yeah, her fixed attacks don't take anything. Just the power comes from. But they do have strong effects when you use the cooldown. They do have very strong breaks attached to them. They have mandala, which basically pulls down all the tree resistances. So chances are you're gonna use that skill instead. If you want to lower all those resistances, that's one you can. The mandala skill. There's one thing that is kind of puzzling me. It's Spirit Fire Possession. She has MP Drain, and it costs LB. I have no idea why the skill isn't.
I mean, I understand why. I mean, if you want to get MP back, you're not going to want to spend MP.
I guess.
I mean, this would make it really easy. For example, if people had issues with Hachiko,
Oh,
where she got all her MP stolen, 2 LB crystals
I think-
is nothing.
I think it's nice that she has this one where she gets a lot of HP, puts on mitigation, and does some status ailment for 5 LB crystals as well. Like, hey, if you're in a pinch and I have no MP, I can still put up mitigation and survive.
Well, that's another thing that's nice is this boss, status element's affected, so.
The same as Cunning as a Fox that also use LB.
Oh, I didn't realize Cunning as a Fox is LB. Huh, nifty.
One thing to note about her friggin' LB, costs 60 crystals to use.
Oh yeah, it's so freaking expensive.
But it's so worth it.
Is it though?
I don't know actually.
I mean, it could be a detriment. It could kill the shit out of you. So,
and it's
I mean, if you're going against opponents who are, and it's not like the LB can take advantage of those imperiled and
question. What do you think would
Answer.
happen if you need to finish an enemy off with an LB and her LB autocast kills it?
That's interesting.
Well, you're fresh out of
Yeah,
luck.
I think that might be counted as LB finish.
I was just kind of curious because I'm like, oh wow. I mean, like if you're doing those LB finishers and like can't get that last, like you missed that last little bit in her LB finishes, like does that count? It was an LB.
It might, and if that's the case, then she is probably the best LB finisher in the game.
Because yeah, you can just defend with everybody else if you effed up, unless you have Kaito in your party.
Yeah, you could just wait. Get out.
Make him hide.
No, Kaito's LB can do the same thing with dots.
Yeah, I don't think the dots would count though, because they're not an
I see.
ability. They're a status ailment.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyways,
Just you guys more.
we've been going on quite a bit about these two. So let's go on
Verdict.
to their event, the Demon Parade. where you fight.
Apologize. These units are just pretty unique.
Yeah, no, they're extremely unique, and everything we said about them is kind of cool. It's just you got to play with them to figure out how to use them. I think they're very good.
Oh my god, I apologize.
You
Oh my
apologize. All right, so the Demon Parade is a what, are these considered the wave battle ones?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Special
basically
event wave battle.
raid, in my opinion, just raid without the orbs. We got we got 4 bonus units. We have Kaito and Tsukiko, of course, and Summertime Luca and Skaha, which do not merge if you pulled any of them because you're going to be getting their TMR Moogles, and you might as well use them for trust coins. We do get enlightenment keys in the rewards, so that's nice to have. And then at 40,000 points, which, come on, Gumi, is the summon ticket. It's like all the other ones were at 15 or 20,000. And they're like, we're gonna put it at 40.
I'm at 25k.
I'm at 20.
Yeah, that means we got a whole nother path to go again.
Yeah,
and
I'm at
and by the way, I'm pretty sure you guys are there by using orb. So you can't do it by just doing it. This is by using orbs. We're halfway.
Oh yeah, I'm using orbs. Yeah, I haven't used a ton yet though. I haven't used a ton yet though.
We're all using orbs right now.
But anyways, we get.
I think I think it might be impossible to get there without orbs.
Probably, unless you level up a bunch of times. Which you could do because we have those rare scroll or the EXP scrolls. But the equipment we get from the craftable equipment we get from this banner is similar to how we got from the Executioner, except for this case it's fire instead of earth. What was that?
Or from Morgana.
Or from Morgana. That banner was rough. Anyways,
that was worse than these.
Pretty much, you match it up. Voila.
So, like the other ones, you takes 5 of the cheaper, like for example accessories, hats, and clothes to make the better accessory, hat, and clothes. They're not great, but they're pretty decent, mainly because of the fire resistance, just like before. They do have confusion resistance, which will give you 100% if you have all of them equipped, and they do give each other a attack or magic buff when equipped with the rest of the set. So the clothes gives 20% fire magic by having the plushie on. The plushie gets 10% attack and magic with the mask on, and the mask gets 15% with the cloak on. So a total of, what is that, 55%? 20, 30, 45%. So pretty decent.
Keep in mind, because you're basically getting the Summertime Luca, you're basically adding 50 plus that will give that unit 50% fire resist on her hat. So if you consider that plus that those items, or
well,
maybe
you
just
can't do all the items.
Hat.
Yeah,
excluding their hat. You get a strong bit.
For person, this is pretty good.
Yes, it's good for anybody in general, just if you need fire resistance, because it is decent all around.
And because we get the bonus is frequent.
Tetris Trials, man.
Scorn of Omega.
But the drops are pretty standard. We got the mini pods, skill snappers, Gigantars, Minotaurs, and then you get the Kaito Moogle, the Tsukiko Moogle, Summertime Luca Moogle, and the Tide Rider Skaha Moogle. You're gonna want these for trust coins, basically. Except, definitely, Summertime Luca's TMR is actually pretty good. Having multiple of those, I will not mind.
Until I have 5.
Well, no, you can put them on your expedition characters too.
Yeah.
The battles, they give the Water Dragon replica, which is actually, it might look bad at first, but it's got a very nice addition where it gives anybody who has this equipped Bolting Strike. And it's a non-elemental Bolting Strike.
Water element.
Which is
Oh, yeah,
nice.
because it's a water element sword. Derp. It is not a two-handed weapon, so you can put this on a dual wielder to give them dual casting Bolting Strike with water. The advanced gives the recipes, and then it gives the Miko's Gohi, which is also kind of nice. It gives Chaos Wave. In my opinion, this one's not as nice as the Water Dragon, mainly because you can't dual cast this.
Nope. You can't dual cast it. And it's also water. It's locked to water and it's locked to Chaos Wave. And the only person who can do that is her. Is Tsukiko.
And you only get one of these. You can't make more than one.
Exactly.
And I don't think Tsukiko has a Chaos Wave or a Water Chaos Wave.
Yes,
She's
she does.
She does.
I forgot then.
Wait, is it water or fire?
No, it's fire.
Or Bolting
She
Strike
has
is
water.
water.
Bolting Strike is water. Absolute Zero is light, and Chaos Wave is fire. Unless there's another
Okay, so
ability I forgot about.
not even a dupe can use this. Not even Su.
So this would be the only person using the water version of this. Yep, water's Bolting
Pretty.
Strike.
So basically nobody.
If you could get two of them, it'd be much better. But it's still not that great either because of the fact that Surging Tide, but Chaos Wave is only a 5-hit chain, which is going to make it really difficult to build the chain
Cap.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's without dual cast and without another water friend, it's just kind of okay. But Water Dragon, thumbs up to that. I don't think there's anything special
Tips on
with
the
this one.
boss, by the way. Build up some defense on your units for that.
Or HP. I would. So the
Or
preemptive
just
can.
an evasion.
Yeah, the preemptive can be evaded, but you still get a dot put on you. And the dot's typically on what, 4,000 you think? 4,000, 5,000 damage for the dot?
I can't remember. It does a ton. It will wipe units too. Even if they have considerable amount of HP, it will still kill them.
Yeah,
Because it
Even a
scales off
7-star unit.
defense.
Unless your unit is a tank, it'll probably kill them.
so if you have issues with it, a healer would definitely be recommended for this. So if you have to give up a space, then you can. He is weak against water by only 20%, but that just means you can add more if you have Tsukiko and such. But a very useful thing is you can paralyze, sleep, confuse this unit.
Chaos Grenade!
Bad
using
breath.
something like Chaos Grenade, Bad Breath, and Toxic will help you.
Kaito also has two abilities that cast or have a chance of paralyzing. So there are lots of ways.
Tsukiko has a skill, the same LB
Does she have a skill that
for-
gives?
for a status element, but it's LB.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that. Yeah, the survivability skill. And then we've got the fact that you can also break it. So, if you don't have a breaker, there is what's it called? What's that material called? The end of the world or
Crazy Day.
crazy
No,
day?
He's talking
No, World Destroyer.
World destroyer. There we are.
One, I would say, advice are if you.
Xer0, you got quiet. Can you repeat what you're saying?
I'm sorry. I was saying one bit of strategy I would recommend if you have a couple of Lucas, which you probably would want or have pull to get some bonus. They do chain flood. You're not gonna use them particularly for damage in this, but they can double cast. They have a W. They have double casting abilities, not magic, of a flood skill that heals the team, right? And conveniently, they both have a skill that also imperils the enemy, so you can take
Most
away
likely
that
dispel.
imperil, break, and dispel. So one can dispel and use flood. The other one can imperil, break, and use flood.
Or you could just
Right?
be smart and have 1 6-star Luca and just give her
Imperil.
to.
What?
He has W ability. One of her abilities is a dispel.
So I'm assuming the reason why he'd be dispelling is you'd want to remove the defense spirit break resist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what I was trying to get into was that if you want, you can literally just carry a finisher, have the two Lucas, one dispel and use flood, the other one use break and use flood, and while they're flood chaining, finish.
It would work really well with Kaito if you do have Kaito as well, because he does do a lot of damage. But you do have, if
Yeah.
you do use Kaito, you're most likely going. It's most likely going to survive to the next round. So you're definitely going to want a little bit more tankiness. For my Lucas to survive, I have one with full evasion gear and a lot of HP. So I would recommend leveling him to 6-star. Just one or two of them. It'll make it a lot easier because having HP makes the battle much
Yeah.
easier.
Yep. Also, Skaha, her LB also give, I believe, an imperil. Water imperil.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to be leveled, so
I know, but
it's not very good at
just
that
saying
point.
that they have things in kit that are kind of so even if you you don't have like you don't have a Kaito, you don't go. There's ways to get around this fight. Even it's very daunting, but it is doable.
Oh, and if you're going to do a tank, you'd most likely want to do a physical tank. Because magic can be completely ignored as long as you get enough fire resistance. But you will still be dealing with the dots, so you cannot rely on having a tank to cover your weakest units. The dots ignore the tank, which is
Well,
what.
it ignores you.
They
Yeah,
ignore the
yeah,
cover.
yeah. They ignore the cover. Other than that, is there anything else you guys want to bring up?
Nope.
Maybe that I'm hoping for the upgraded unit very soon.
Yeah, because you've been wanting to try to go for a Grimlord Sakura again, haven't you? Or a Kryla.
Yep.
Did she leave you
By
Kryling?
the way, that strat I was talking about with doing trial, it was basically one of Kaito's and 3 magic sanctuaries. I'm like, whoa, isn't that amazing? A lot of people are telling me, well, I don't ever have a problem with resistance. Do you have a couple of of
Magic
Krylas in your back pocket? Of course you don't have a problem with resistance.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with resistance. I only have
Nobody
4
has.
Krylas.
Right. So when I tell people,
Yeah.
so when I tell people, hey, I need a Sylvie, they're like, what do you need her for? You don't need her. Of course you do.
I've never said that to you.
No, I mean like certain other people.
Kuja. Oh, sorry. Man, you know what we haven't done so far yet is, man, wouldn't it be nice if Lilla had Kaito's STMR?
That's so nice.
I don't know. I just had to bring it up. I don't see her using the rod, so I was thinking it was
No,
being dumb.
every week we bring up how unique Lilith could be in this situation. Guess what?
Yeah.
In this fight, in the Demon Parade, if you have Lila's STMR, you can evade that hit.
Yeah, you can evade the first hit. The preemptive. You'll still
preemptive.
get hit with the dot, though.
Yeah, but still, it's
Wasn't there
pretty
also,
good.
like, Rico's wingsuit that helps with that,
Yeah,
too?
Yep,
Or just
And
straight up evasion.
on the first hit.
oh, speaking of
So
which, did you guys mention? We forgot to mention Kaito's AOE evasion. Mirage.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
does
it's
have
AoE
that.
Mirage.
So yeah, out of his supporting skills, he also has that, which makes him really good. as a
Receding
support.
current.
Yeah, and he could do
Riku
that
did it
on
better.
demand at any point.
And it's a 5 turns, man. That's actually pretty good.
Yes.
But it only
Riku
lasts
did
one time, so.
better.
It's like, oh, we don't need Bart anymore. I'm like, no.
10-2 Riku did it better.
10-2 Riku doesn't exist over here. And
Well,
now I shall
we-
backhand you.
I will say that you gotta wait until Aloha Laswell.
Allah.
No, Aloha Laswell. Because he probably will be the best person to take advantage of Kaito.
I don't know. They'd have to be able to find a way of keeping his cover higher.
Perhaps.
Because his cover has a 2-turn gap. 'Cause it's a
no,
5-turn.
Remember, they're changing him, so
I know. I'm saying they'd have to make that better.
they will. They will.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they're going to make him damage, but that's me.
Based on the preliminary information that came up during the data mine, which they pulled back, they seem to focus more on his.
Yeah, they gave him a provoke, yeah. But that's all I saw. Wow. Apparently this person was using just a Regina to murder the boss.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
Regina, I can see being very effective because she has a lot of fairy. Her kit, the boss is demon and fairy.
She has Demon Killer too.
Yep. So demon and fairy, and she can whack 'em all.
Yeah, I'm just picturing her surviving that first hit though. She'd need Rika's wingsuit and stuff like that to survive.
She would definitely.
God.
Lenses.
She's like, oh, I got 6,000 HP on my Regina. That's awesome.
Anyways.
Alright, well, I think this is good. We'll stop here. If you have any questions, feel free to join us in Discord. We kind of just hang around on BS way too damn much.
Why do you see me cry on my polls?
I haven't seen you cry on your pulls in a while.
Or be an ultimate luck shitter?
I mean, sure. Thumbs up to that. And then there's Xer0 is good at making guides. If you have a difficulty time reading the ones that are in the wiki, you might want to try his. Yeah, just join us on Discord and we'll see you next time. What was that?
Catch you guys
Join the
later.
convo.
On the flip side.
Peace.